Academy. Let's get started. I'm your host, Christian. Let's get into this episode. So after this, they're running through the race, and it's finally over with Adrian coming in third because since Remy still won because of her insane speed, Blake because of his rocket feet boost, because remember, that's his secondary ability that comes along with his. It's time to burn it down. I'm just remembering my favorite song, Burn It Down from Skillet. Alright, whatever, back to this. So basically, after that we see, it's actually time for the tournament now. Miss Hosu says, alright everybody and sports fans, let's start off with our first round. It's the no ability kid, Adrian, versus Zach. Adrian doesn't have a power. Zach's power, we can understand, it's a green laser, which he likes to call laser. I'm kidding, he just calls it laser. As in the fight starts, Adrian says it's going to be a little bit of a problem to defeat him, because once my blade comes in contact with him, that blade can cut clean through mine. Blake says, I wonder how Adrian's going to win this match. Akane says, he's going to lose. Blake gets angry and says, do you ever stop doubting him? You know, he's a lot better than you think he is. Just watch when he beats you. She goes, ha, him beat me? I'll bet everything I have that he doesn't stand a chance. Half the crowd is betting on, most of the crowd is betting on Zach because they didn't know that Adrian does not have ability, but he is a master of combat. Zach says, sorry Adrian, but we're gonna have to fight. Then he launches at him with his blade. Adrian goes, crap. He's dodging and weaving. And then he goes, looks, I have a strategy already. He goes to stab him, going, ah! Adrian ducks under, pulls out his sword, cuts Thing's blade in half. Cuts Zach's blade in half, and with his blade, rips off that side, clicks it together as he gets Zach's laser, cuts Zach up, kicks him in the stomach. The laser disappears. He grabs his blade back, puts it back on in the span of 0.5 seconds, and cuts through Zach, defeating him. Everyone goes, what was that? Adrian goes, it worked. You know, I never expected that strategy to work. Akane says, how did he win that? Blake laughs, saying, you're going to be losing all your money and everything you have, Akane, if you keep on underestimating Adrian. Next is a quick battle between Remy and Cecilia, who Remy bodies with little to no difficulty. And let me explain how this fight goes. Remember, Cecilia's power is, well, Cecilia doesn't really have a power. Okay, she does. I want to give her a sword where she can control things. Cecilia picks up a boulder from the ground with her sword and yeets it forward, which Remy just zaps, which also hits Cecile, knocking her out. Remy pretty much destroyed Cecile. Next is Daniel versus Blake. Blake says, bring it on, Daniel. If running when I'm drinking some ginger ale. Blake instantly activates his red energy beam sword, as Daniel activates his rock sword. These two slam their blades together, but Blake's blade is easily overpowering Daniel's, and then he finally breaks through and goes, ah, as he aims at him like a baseball bat and smashes him into the sky, making Blake the winner. Next is Alex versus Rikudu. Alex gets slammed down to the ground instantly and can't do a lot. He goes, let me up. Then he hits the ground. Then he gets lifted up and slams up and down and up and down and up and down. Then he finally gets a chance to land a swipe, but misses as he's slammed to the ground again and is knocked out for the count. Rikudu is very powerful. Next is Akane versus Leah. Akane with one slash destroys and ends Leah's career. But not done yet. Her eyes glow red as she slams Leah all around the arena, saying, "This is what you deserve." then ends her with just a stab to the gut. She isn't killed, but very damaged. As then she's finished off with a kick, which knocks her out, full on. Ends her. Now let's just skip all the way to the semifinals. We have Adrian versus Blake, and Remy versus Akane. Let me go over Remy and Akane's match first. It starts off with Remy blitzing towards her, landing a quick slash to Akane's hair, who gets pissed and punches her in the nose, knocking her back. Remy blitzes out of there, as then she appears right behind her going, ah! As then Akane dodges, kicks her in the face, then grabs her face and slams it to the ground, pulls out her dark matter and slashes, knocking back poor Remy, who activates her lightning speed and is now blitzing around, hitting Akane with small hits, but they aren't doing much. As Akane fuels herself with dark matter and with one last strike, slams her fists into Remy's face. Now I know these fights are way too quick, but I'm sorry, I can't think of anything. Be honest, guys, if this was a real anime episode, we'd already be up to episode 14. Next is Blake versus Adrian. We start off with the battle, Adrian and Blake slamming their swords against each other's. As Blake's sword is easily winning this match, but Adrian has a strategy. Adrian stabs his sword into Blake's, which pins it to the ground and kicks him in the face. He rips his sword out, slaps his, Blake's sword straight out of his hands, kicks him in the face, then backflips, slams his head to the ground, but Blake uses his rocket boost to headbutt Adrian's leg, which wasn't a good idea, but it still hurt Adrian, putting him to a state of paralysis. Then he backflips and goes, that hurt a lot. Blake blasts forward, going, with his blade ready to slash Adrian. But then Adrian goes, time to burn it all down. He grabs Blake's sword, as Blake goes, what? As then Adrian grabs his sword, flips it into his own hands, and slashes Blake. Then he says, looks like I'll dual wield. Then he goes, as then he's cutting and blocking all of Blake's attacks. Then he finally lands a final kick, which knocks him out. As everyone here is just Adrian drops his blade right next to where Blake is, saying, there's your sword back. As now it's really time for the final battle. Akane Ryuki versus Adrian! Let's see it. So we get it started with instantly Akane with all of her rage already fueled up ready to kick Adrian's ass. Grabs his face and slams it against the cement walls. As then she goes, how do you like this, Adrian? Slamming him all over and then up and down and up and down as he can't take this. He's gonna get killed sooner or later. Sooner or later, 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 sooner or later. As Adrian is being physically and mentally killed. As then he is almost dead already. Blake says, this isn't fair. She's going way too far, as Adrian seems to be knocked out, but when they're about to declare Akane the winner, he goes, as he sticks his hand up in the air. But then Akane just runs over and breaks it with a kick. Now, of course, you would think that doesn't break an arm. Well, with people in this world's strength, it possibly is. As then Akane breaks Adrian's arm, then throws him into the air. Then she launches a beam into the air with her own hands. Everyone says, that's not possible. But then it's an illusion, which Akane has her sword in her hands, which actually launches a beam, which hits Adrian into the sky even more. Adrian goes, I can't win this. As then everyone is cheering for him, telling him to please get up. All of his friends are. Adrian can't. Has been beaten and broken already. But then he dodges the way. But then Akane goes for a full strike, saying, I'm gonna kill you! With a full-on 360 turn. Gets ready and slashes. But then this happens.
From taco spots to big box.
I'm kidding. As Adrian is no longer there. As then he dodges and weaves right behind her and kicks with extreme force, which sends her back. As then she's unfazed. As then he's dodging most of the punches and kicks. As then he's hit by one which barely even flinches. And then he goes, and then she says, "What are you doing?" Then he pulls out his sword and she says, "What's your dumb sword gonna do?" It starts to glow. As then he glows with blue flames. Yeah, guys, I chose blue flames. As Adrian yells and powers up. As the fire tornado swirls around him. As he goes, as then he blitzes Akane. They flash their swords as his time. This dude is faster, stronger, and better. As this is a much more skilled Adrian. As then he's dodging all of the attacks that she throws and then releases them back with tenfold of the power. Now I'm gonna have to cut this early